You check your phone. Nothing. You check it again. Still nothing. Your chest tightens a little. Your eyes flick to the door. You don't know why, but some part of you feels watched. That feeling isn't random. It isn't anxiety in the modern sense at all. It's a fire alarm built 200,000 years ago, still wired into your skull, still going off for threats that no longer exist. Here's the strange part. The system that makes you check over your shoulder in a parking garage is the exact same system that once kept your ancestors alive on the open savanna. It hasn't updated. It hasn't learned the difference between a line in the grass and a late text message. To your brain, both can trigger the same ancient alarm. Scientists call this system the amygdala's threat detection loop, and it evolved for a world that ended 12,000 years ago. Let that sink in. Your nervous system is running software designed for a world of open plains, predators, and small tribal bands. But you're using it to survive email. Go back further. 200,000 years. Small bands of early Homo sapiens moving across grasslands in East Africa. No walls, no locks, no streetlights. Every rustle in tall grass could be wind, or it could be a leopard. The humans who survived weren't the calmest ones. They were the jumpy ones, the ones whose bodies reacted before their conscious mind even finished the thought. Is that a threat? Heart rate spikes. Pupils dilate. Blood rushes to the muscles. All of this happens in a fraction of a second before you've even registered what you saw. This reaction is called the hyperactive threat detection system, and researchers like evolutionary psychologist Randolph Ness have argued it's a textbook case of a smoke detector adaptation. A smoke detector doesn't wait to be sure there's a real fire. It goes off at the faintest hint of smoke, because a false alarm costs you a moment of annoyance, but missing a real fire costs you your life. Your ancestors' brains work the same way. Better to flinch at a stick that isn't a snake 100 times than to miss the one time it actually is a snake. Evolution doesn't reward accuracy, it rewards survival. And an alarm system that's a little too sensitive survives more often than one that's perfectly calm. So natural selection built you an alarm that is, by design, biased toward false positives. It would rather embarrass you 1,000 times than fail you once. Now fast forward to today. You're not dodging leopards. You're sitting in a well-lit apartment with the doors locked, and your heart is still pounding because a coworker didn't reply to your message. Your body doesn't know the difference. It reacts to social rejection with almost the same chemical cascade as physical danger. This isn't a coincidence. It's a leftover survival strategy. For most of human history, being cast out of your group wasn't just uncomfortable, it was a death sentence. A lone human on the savannah, without the protection of the tribe, rarely lasted long, so your brain learned to treat social threat as physical threat. Silence. Disapproval. A cold tone of voice. All of it can trigger the same ancient alarm that once meant predator nearby. Psychologist Matthew Lieberman's research on social pain has suggested something remarkable. The brain regions that process rejection overlap with the regions that process physical pain. That's why being ignored can feel like it physically hurts. Your nervous system isn't speaking in metaphors. It's using the oldest circuitry it has, because that circuitry never got the memo that the tribe isn't going anywhere anymore. Here's the twist most people never consider. This hypervigilance wasn't a flaw in the human design. It was, for most of our history, the single most valuable trait a person could carry. The calm ones. The ones who shrugged off warning signs. The ones who needed hard proof before reacting. Many of them didn't get the chance to pass on their genes. The nervous ones did. So in a very real sense, you are descended from warriors. Millions of generations of humans who noticed the rustle in the grass, who felt the tightening chest, who trusted the alarm even when it turned out to be nothing. That anxious ancestor is still inside you, still scanning, still listening. But the world changed faster than biology could keep up. In the span of a few thousand years, a blink, evolutionarily speaking, humans went from small bands on open plains to cities of millions to glowing screens that deliver 1,000 tiny social threats a day. Notifications, unread messages, a meeting invite with no context. Each one lands on a brain that still thinks it's reading the wind for predators. Anthropologist Sarah Hrdy has written about how human survival always depended on constant social monitoring within small, tight-knit groups. In that world, checking on your status within the group wasn't neurotic. It was essential maintenance, done constantly, almost unconsciously. Today, that same maintenance behavior shows up as compulsively checking your phone, rereading a text for hidden meaning, replaying a conversation at 2 a.m. you're not broken. You're using a 200,000-year-old survival tool in a world it was never designed for. Think about what this means for the moments that make you feel crazy for overreacting. That flash of dread when a friend takes too long to reply. The tight chest walking into a room where conversation suddenly stops. The urge to check the locks one more time before bed. None of that is malfunction. It's an ancient system doing exactly what it evolved to do. Scan, flag, protect. Just aimed at the wrong century. And there's something oddly comforting in that. The anxiety you feel isn't a personal weakness. It's a shared inheritance. Every human who ever lived long enough to have children carried some version of this same jumpy, over-alert nervous system. You're not uniquely broken. You're standing at the end of an unbroken chain of ancestors who survived, in part, because they never fully relaxed. The question isn't how to shut the alarm off completely. You can't, and you wouldn't want to. A world with zero threat detection is a world where you don't notice the truck running the red light. The goal was never silence, it was calibration. Modern life just hasn't given your alarm system a chance to recalibrate. It fires at the same intensity for a predator and a passive-aggressive email, because intensity was never really the variable evolution optimized. Speed was. Your brain would rather be fast and occasionally wrong than slow and occasionally dead. So the next time your chest tightens over something that rationally you know isn't dangerous, a delayed reply, a silence in a meeting, an unread message sitting there for hours, remember what's actually happening. You're not overreacting. You're hearing an alarm built for lions, going off for something that just looks to a 200,000-year-old brain close enough. You check your phone one more time. Still nothing. And somewhere underneath that small, modern anxiety, a much older voice is simply doing its job. Well, the same job it's done since before there were cities, before there were phones, before there was anything to check at all. Still watching, still listening, still trying to keep you alive.